If you're doing $1 million plus per month on Shopify and you're still just throwing ads into one campaign and hoping for the best, this video is going to change how you think about your Meta ads account entirely. Because what gets a brand from 0 to 100K per month is not the same thing that gets them from 100K to $1 million. The structure changes, the creative strategy changes, and if you're not evolving with it, you'll hit a ceiling. And you'll probably think it's a targeting problem or a creative problem when it's actually a structural one. So across 2 videos, I'm gonna walk you through the exact framework we use for our 7-figure clients. In this one, we're covering the creative testing system, the 2 types of creatives you need to be producing and exactly how to test them in the account. Part 2 is going to cover the scaled campaign structure, how we use super campaigns with different exclusion tiers, and the attribution setup that ties it all together. Let's get into it. Before we get into the specifics, this framework assumes you can produce creative at scale. If you're still doing 2 or 3 new ads per month, some of this won't fully apply yet. But if you're serious about growing past 7 figures, creative production needs to be a machine running in the background. You need to be consistently testing new concepts, identifying winners, and cycling through ideas every single week. Everything I'm about to cover, the testing structure, the campaign setup, only works if you've got a steady flow of creative going in. So the first thing we need to talk about is how you think about creative before it even hits the account. There are 2 types of creatives you should be producing at scale, and they serve completely different purposes. The first is what I call net new concepts. A net new concept is something your ad account has never seen before, a genuinely different creative direction. Not a different hook on the same video, not the same creator with different text, something that looks, feels, and communicates completely differently to what you've already got running. The easiest way to think about net new is to look at what you currently have and do the opposite. If your whole account is UGC creators talking to camera, a net new concept might be a high production shoot, professional lighting, cinematic B-roll, a completely different visual register. If you're already running high production content, net new might be a raw, handheld UGC video that feels totally unpolished. If you only have videos running, net new is statics. If everything you've got is serious and educational, net new is something comedic or disruptive, a street interview creative, a podcast style clip, something that looks nothing like what you've been running. The point of net new concepts is to unlock new audience pockets. The algorithm decides who sees your ads partly based on how your ads look and feel. When it's only ever seen one style from you, it's probably only ever found one type of person who responds to that style. You introduce a net new concept and the algorithm has a completely different creative to show, which means it can find a completely different group of people. That's how you scale without burning out the same audience. The second bucket of creative is iterations. This is probably where most of your weekly creative volume should sit because it's faster to produce and lower risk. An iteration takes something that's already working and builds on it in a way that's different enough to still give the algorithm something fresh. There are a few ways to do this. You might have a static ad performing really well, great message, strong hook, so you take that exact same message and turn it into a video. Or you take a winning video and recreate it with a different creator. Or you take a specific angle that's resonating and write 5 new script variations around it. The core insight stays the same, but the execution is different enough that it genuinely is a new ad. And then there's the most direct type of iteration, taking an existing ad and tweaking it, changing the headline, swapping the image, and there's an important technical rule here that most people aren't across. Meta uses the first 3 seconds of a video to demonstrate whether it's a new creative. If you change the first 3 seconds enough, different opening shot, different text overlay, different hook, Meta treats it as a completely new ad from a technical standpoint. The algorithm will go out and find a new audience for it and essentially reset the learning. Now, people seeing it might still recognize the body of the video is the same, so this doesn't count as a net new concept in the true sense, but from an account management perspective, it's a legitimate way to extend the life of an existing creative without having to build something from scratch. So you've got your 2 buckets, net new concepts for opening up new audiences, iterations, including direct variations, for keeping winners alive and squeezing more out of what's already working. Now let's talk about how you actually test these creatives in the account. Everything gets tested in an ABO campaign, ad set budget optimization, meaning the budget is set at the ad set level, not the campaign level. The reason for this is control. With ABO, you decide how much each ad set gets. The algorithm can't just pull all the budget into one ad set that's already performing and starve out a new concept you're trying to test. You're making that call yourself, which gives you much better visibility into what's actually working. For most accounts, one testing campaign is enough, but if you've got multiple product categories that are genuinely separate, different audiences, different price points, different product lines, you might want a separate testing campaign for each. It doesn't make a material difference technically, but it makes account management a lot simpler when you're not scrolling through 50 ad sets looking for the right product. Inside the testing campaign, each ad set is one batch of creatives, and how you batch those creatives together is something you can approach in a couple of ways. One approach is to group similar creatives together. 5 statics with the same message, but slightly different text or imagery, 3 videos of the same concept with different hooks. Batching similar creative together means when one starts getting more spend than the others, you know exactly why. You can see what the algorithm preferred, and you've got a clear winner. The other approach is to batch diverse concepts together. Put a UGC video, a static, and a high production clip in the same ad set and let the algorithm figure out which format resonates best with that budget. This works particularly well at scale when you're producing so many creatives that it's more efficient to let the algorithm do the sorting rather than trying to organize everything yourself. For most brands, I'd recommend starting with similar creatives together. It's cleaner, easier to read the data, and gives you clear signal on what's winning. But as your creative production ramps up, moving to a more mixed batch approach is completely fine. If a batch is clearly performing well early, don't be afraid to double or even triple the budget on that ad set while it's hot. You're still in the testing campaign, but if something is working, give it more room to run. On starting budgets, your budget per ad set should be at least 2 to 3 times your target CPA. If you're aiming for a $50 CPA, you're starting each ad set at $100 to $150 per day minimum. For tighter budgets, you can get away with 1 times your target CPA and just give it a longer runway, 7 to 14 days, before making decisions. But at the $1 million+ level, you should have enough budget to test at the 3 times rule. Anything less and you're not giving the algorithm enough signal to work with. So that's the creative foundation. 2 buckets of creatives, a clean ABO testing structure, and a budget framework that actually gives your tests a fair shot. In part 2, I'm going to cover what happens after you identify winners, how to structure your scaled super campaigns, how to use different exclusion tiers to hit new versus existing customers, and why third-party attribution is non-negotiable when you're running this kind of account at scale. If this was useful, give it a like, it helps more people find it, and if you want to see how this applies to your specific account, I do free audits, no strings attached, link in the description.